Russian buildup is taking place not only along the border of Ukraine, but along the border of democratic world. For thousands of kilometers to the north and to the east of our border with Russia, there is no...
All right, I'm joined now by Victor Kipiani. He is the chairperson of the Georgian think tank Geocase, and he joins us from Tbilisi. Good to have you on the program with us again. Victor, saber rattling or preparations for war? What's going on here? Why is Russia making these threatening moves now?
When you speak about the Russian policies vis-à-vis its neighbors, of course, you know, it's always very hard to make any firm predictions. Russia is opportunistic state, and it exercises its general policy to intimidate its neighbors. But most importantly, for the West to know that when the Russian policy goes without any consequences for Russia, then we get the situation which is even worse. So I think that the critical question at this point is not just what Ukraine is doing for its own defense, but how the West is prepared to respond to the Russian regional revisionism. And I think this is the critical question, because what's happening in Ukraine now, and not just in Ukraine, but in a few other countries of the Black Sea region, including Georgia, it's a litmus test for the Western alliance, how the West, the viability and its resilience would be looking for tomorrow. What would be its premises, what would be the security design, and what would be its main principles. So I think that this question is even more on the side of the NATO alliance than on the side of Ukrainians. Ukrainians are doing all what is possible within their capabilities, but how the West would translate its support from statements to real actions, you know, this is the key question which should be responded in very unilateral, straightforward, and explicit manner.
Mm-hmm. U.S. President Biden held a phone call with Putin and proposed a U.S.-Russia summit in the coming months. Does the possibility of a summit potentially lessen the likelihood of military action taking place leading up to that summit between the two leaders?
Of course, you know, any line of communication would be very much helpful to diffuse the tensions between Russia and Ukraine. But it is also very important to remember that if you defend, you have to defend. And I'm very much afraid that these statements and the political communications are not enough if those communications, if those lines communications are not backed up by hardware support. And again, it's two key questions which the West and the United States in particular should address. Question number one, what is the eastern flank of the NATO alliance for today? How that resilience runs from the Baltics to the Black Sea? And the second question, what should be the Black Sea security design? And it's not just about the Black Sea coastline. It's about the bigger picture. What should be or could be the Eurasian security policy? So to sum up, you know, my observations, we're not talking today just about defending the territorial integrity of Ukraine. We're speaking about the wider picture. We're speaking about the zones. We're speaking about the fate of the countries, which are, practically speaking, between the borderlines of democracy from one side and the autocracy from another side.
In a potential summit between Biden and Putin or negotiation with NATO, who has the upper hand here? Do you think that Putin has the upper hand?
I think that for some obvious reasons, of course, there is certain leverage on the Kremlin side. But I think that the West in this particular instance has even better leverage and more upper hand, as you said. This is the moral authority. And the moral authority always stands next to the countries which defend their integrity, which defend their sovereignty, and which defend their independence. So like I'm saying, you know, it's the moral test, you know, not just for Ukraine and Georgia, who already made their destiny, but it's for the West community and it's for the West policy-making decision in the region as such.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Victor Kipiani in Tbilisi, thank you.